You've gone from that 10-year-old who just wanted to be around you and gave you big cuddles and just loved being around you to dropping them off to school, and that now they want to be dropped 2 streets down. Often a parent is holding on to one end of the rope and the teenager is sometimes thrashing around, and it can be very tempting for a parent to go, this is just too hard. Understanding that actually what the teen is doing is an important developmental step. It's working out who they are in the world, what do they believe, how do they fit into the world, and what they desperately need more than anything else is that parent that's holding on.
Hey, welcome to Parents We've Met, hosted by me, Dayna Galloway, and this one over here, my unwavering sidekick in this parenting gig, the calm, I would say, in my parenting storm, Parent Coach Jenny Hale.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for being the calm in the storm for me.
Yeah, I love it.
Actually, my kids, I was thinking about this on the way to studio today. My kids call you Jenny Hale. No one else, I think they even know people's surnames, but you are always Jenny Hale. And they even came up with a rap for Jenny, just all on their own. Jenny Hale, Jenny Hale. So she's a bit of a big deal in the Galloway home.
I love that. I'm so thrilled. Teach them that I've got a middle name too.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Jenny Louise.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue the same as Jenny Hale.
No, you could do a new rap.
I'll get onto it. And today we have got a Coach's Couch session, and always lovely to have you in studio with us. Sheridan Eketone, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is cool to have you, Sheridan. And you've got teenagers, which makes us really cool. But what are you enjoying about them at the moment?
And actually, if you're listening and watching, we're talking about staying connected in the teen years. We're just like rushing into it. But staying connected in the teen years, because this is something you talk about a lot.
Yes.
But yeah, it's good to start with the positive. I like that, Jenny.
I think teenagers get a bad rap often, and I think we can celebrate all of the things that are happening. So in my house, I'm loving this season of kind of them being more responsible for themselves. So, we often leave really early for work, and they are just left to their own devices. I'm thinking devices can be interesting, but that's another topic. But the other thing that I really love, Jenny, is we finally nailed the teenagers cooking dinner, and I really dislike cooking dinner, so I'm loving this season of them choosing a night and kind of cooking us a kai. It's amazing.
That's great,
So
Sheridan.
good,
And it means that you've got to put up with probably some mistakes or some meals that you wouldn't have chosen yourself. So you're setting them free.
Or that personality that really doesn't like to be told anything and still doesn't really have a great skill set around cooking. So that has been interesting.
I'm in my 40s and I'm still struggling with cooking. I was baking with my 6-year-old the other day, and we put an egg in, and I did it, and some of the egg shell went in, and I was trying to get it out. My daughter, she's 6, she turned to me, she's like, just let it go, Mum, let it go. So we just stirred it in.
The words of wisdom that you get from 6-year-olds.
She's amazing. She even said to me the other day, because we've been looking at dogs, and I'm starting to feel a bit nervous about, is it too, it's my freedom that's going to be impacted the most, even though I would love a dog at some point. And she said, Mum, do you just want to give it another 2 years? I'm like, you are wise. Thank you.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thinking about teens, because I'm talking about my 6-year-old now, what are some of the things parents naturally do that doesn't help with connection?
Gosh, how long do we have?
Really?
There's a list. So I think we're really good at long lectures. We're good at, if you only listened to me yesterday, I knew that was going to happen. Or we also tend to want to fix things. So we want to jump in and sort of take the lead, where we really want to kind of step back a little bit and let our teens learn through some of the mistakes.
How do we manage some of our own maybe hurt, disappointment when we can see our teens starting to pull away a little bit? Because that must be really hard.
Yeah. And, I've found this personally a real struggle. How do we not take it personally? Because there's lots of moments in the teen years where it can be really easy to get offended. I like this idea of let's try and remain unoffendable. I don't even know if that's a word, but it is today. I like it. But, almost understanding where they're at and not taking it personally. And it is easier said than done, but really important to think about. And I think we want to think about about where our teen is at in their journey, in their developmental stage, because the more we understand that, the more we can kind of give grace for some of the things that we see.
That not taking things personally, I think that's right from when you have a toddler, as soon as they can start talking, because kids are brutal.
They are.
And they say it how it is, and then they can say things to try and stir or get a reaction. So that's something I think we need the whole way through.
Yeah. We do. You're right, Dayna. We're so easily affected by their comments and we're easily put out of the arena. And sometimes it takes us too long to get back in because we're still kind of hurt and disappointed. And there's some real growth, to do in parenting. With teens and tuning into them, there seems to be this amazing dance that we need to do, which is we tune in, we stay in the arena, but we know when to give them space. How do you do all of those?
Yeah, and I think it is a real balancing act. So it is an opportunity in the teen years to allow our teens to grow in autonomy. And actually, we don't want to absolutely give them full rein and go, hey, just go out in the world, do whatever you want. But we do the opposite of that as being too restrictive in the teen years. And so the teen years give us an opportunity for them to grow in autonomy. So that might look like really simple things like, hey, how about you organise your haircut next week? How about you call the salon? How about you get yourself there? It might be that they get to choose which sport they take on the next term. It's finding incremental ways of them growing in their autonomy. I had a good friend who told me how she was letting her teenagers organise the weekly countdown shop online, and so they had a budget. They knew how many meals they needed to cover, and they were in complete control as to what they bought. Now I'm listening to that thinking, this woman is crazy. But actually they learnt so much. After week 1 they'd bought 5 packets of Tim Tams and realised that wasn't wise. And so what learning can come from allowing them to have some moments of autonomy.
And what's the worst that can happen? You have 5 packets of cookies, you run out of some food and you're having Weet-Bix for 3 dinners.
Exactly.
I think we need to give our kids more opportunity to fail and learn from it in such a safe environment.
Yeah, it does something kind of deep within a teen when they know you're trusting them.
Yes.
And they know they're allowed to make mistakes. And they know that probably there isn't a lecture that's coming in behind it as well, so that the learning is often done without too much of a comment made.
Yeah, I really like this idea of what does it look like for our teens to fail and be forgiven. And having 4 teenagers myself, let me tell you, there have been moments, and I often come back to that. How am I creating this environment where they can make a mistake and it's okay? And equally for us as parents, can we fail and be forgiven? Because that is a big part of this journey as they're growing into these emerging adults.
Yeah. The longer I am a parent and the longer I've been here at Parenting Place, just the fact of modelling, and that we are modelling everything. We're modelling about, making mistakes and how we are on ourselves or on our partner and food, all the different things they're looking at us, which is, it can be a bit confronting at times.
It can be.
It's a lot.
Yeah. What are a few simple things that parents can be doing on the daily just to be building connection, even if your kids and teenagers are trying to, a bit allergic to you and putting some space? What can we be doing?
Yeah. First thing I would really encourage parents to understand is that teenagers are really, really pros at acting like they really don't need us. So there's almost can be an allergic reaction. And often that comes from maybe we are up in their grill a little too much, so we might need to step back a little bit. But I think it's reminding ourselves that actually they deeply need us. They need us to remain connected and in ways almost meeting them where they're at. And so I often say, you've gone from that 10-year-old who just wanted to be around you and gave you big cuddles and just loved being around you to dropping them off to school, and that now they want to be dropped 2 streets down because being with mum near school is just not the go. So it's kind of holding space for this idea that they are growing in their need for autonomy. They're questioning where they fit in the world, and we want to support that because it's actually really important. Because here's the thing, we do want them to leave home one day. We don't want them there till they're 39. Unless you do, and that's okay.
38's okay, though.
38? Maybe. So, how can we support them? So I love this idea of meeting our teens where they're at. And that's often side by side in the car when you're dropping them off to school, having a good chat. If my best convos with my son would be picking him up from a basketball game. The endorphins are flowing. I often got a good rundown of the day then.
So you've mentioned big feelings, basically, that teens have. And it seems hard for a parent not to get on the roller coaster ride of 1 minute they're slamming the door and the next minute they're kind of sidling up to you and they want to cuddle. So how do you stay steady? How do we kind of keep our cool with our kids?
Yeah, this is a tricky part. And I often think of this idea that we are the grown adults, we have our fully functioning brain, and even we in those moments can take those things really hard. So the power of the pause, almost pausing before we respond. So we're not jumping to a reaction because we're kind of meeting them where they're at. I also love Lisa D'Amour, a psychologist in the States. She often talks about, we can front foot this a little bit. So we get this reaction, this explosion of maybe emotion or just an attitude kind of thing. And we can kind of call it out a little bit, but kindly. So she would say, hey, you can be friendly, you can be polite, or you can ask for space. And I really love that idea of, we're not coming down hard on them. We're understanding that, if that's what we're seeing, what's sitting beneath that explosion. But we're also holding a standard. So kind of nudging them into the correct way of having relationship.
I love that, Sheridan. It's so easy for us to say in our hurt or our defensiveness, don't you dare talk to me like that. But to have something that kind of keeps everybody's dignity intact and is a really good script. That's the one I'd put inside the pantry door because it's not usually the first thing you're thinking of.
It's not your go-to.
Yeah, no. It's not your easy go-to.
Yeah.
Look, parents will often say to us, we're only getting sort of grunts or one-word answers from our teens.
Yeah.
How do we get that deeper conversation?
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? I think understanding what's happening in their brain in the teen years is a helpful place to start. So we know that in the teen years, the prefrontal cortex is getting a remodeling, which the prefrontal cortex is where we make all our good decisions. It's where we assess risk. It's, all of the good stuff is happening there. And so for teens, they sit a lot more in the emotional side of their brain. And so that's where we get some real highs and some real lows. And it can feel like we're literally on a roller coaster. So I think, I love this idea of clear out the emotion first. Or learn to be with them and have empathy and validate what's big for them without fixing. So often I'm thinking, how can you acknowledge, man, that sounds really tough, and full stop. Not that sounds really tough, but had you studied for that exam that you're now really sad that you failed? We just launch into fixing. And so, meeting them where they're at and coming alongside those big feelings.
Talking about like the roller coaster, and I'm just thinking about, I feel like I'm starting to see perimenopause and stuff in the future, and my daughter's getting older and my son, and there's probably so many families that kids are going into the teen years and we're going through such big changes and emotions and ourselves. I mean, you really do need to look after yourself so that you're then kind of we could all be on the roller coaster just going up and down together.
Funnily enough, we kind of are on our own roller coaster, aren't we? And I do think also I find it so fascinating that we kind of enter the teen stage when we are going through big changes ourselves, but also often caring for elderly parents. You might have heard of that kind of sandwich generation of looking after our elders but also looking after younger children. And I think you're right, Dayna. I think our ability to parent well in this season is deeply connected to what we're doing to look after ourselves, and we really cannot find our kind words when we are overwhelmed.
I think too, looking back, probably my parents' generation, a little bit in mine too, of a lot of things like talking about money, talking about things that maybe were going on health-wise personally weren't talked about. But I mean, if you are really facing perimenopause or something like that, actually talking to your teenager of, mate, you're going through changes, but do you know what? I'm going through this as well, and actually giving them a little bit of a glimpse into your life and what you're facing.
Absolutely.
Maybe that will help with a bit more empathy both ways.
Yes, you can only hope.
Can someone give it a go and then let us know? Did it work? When a teen starts to pull away, you've talked about this a little, that, they need a bit more space, but also you don't want to just wait for them to come back. You want to stay connected. So again, how can you stay close without crowding them? How do you have that connection?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of patience in there. There's a lot of waiting for the right moment. I'm really guilty of asking my teen too many questions. It's like the moment they bound in the door, how was school and how did that thing go? And I'm really trying to slow it down. And it's also realizing, sometimes we need to wait for the right moment. Often when a teen comes home from school, they have held in that 6 hours of school all of the relationship dynamics, meeting the needs of the teachers, and they are just overwhelmed. So creating a space where they can really just down-regulate and just be alone is a good thing to do. So your best conversations might be later in the evening. I've found that often that's just when I'm about to go to bed that I hear just the download of the day. And as hard as it is, my encouragement would be, if that's your teen, that we just stop and that we just listen and meet them where they're at.
So good. Sheridan, some families that are listening will also find that there's been a lot of conflict. It's not easy parenting with all the other things that are going on.
Yeah.
And if you feel that you've disconnected with your teen, how do we rebuild connection? How do we get it back again?
Yeah. I think we do start really simple and slowly. And almost, I love this imagery of, often a parent is holding on to one end of the rope and the teenager is sometimes thrashing around on the other end of the rope. And it can be very tempting for a parent to go, this is just too hard. I'm going to take my hands off. It's just too much. Whereas if we can hold on to that line, hold on to that connection, as understanding that actually what the teen is doing is an important developmental step. It's working out who they are in the world, what do they believe, how do they fit into the world. And what they desperately need more than anything else is that parent that's holding on and staying connected. I often say, if your kid loves bubble tea, which one of mine does, we're heading off for bubble tea. Meet them where they're at. Those little moments where we can connect in a way that relates to what they love is so, so vital in the teen years. And just patience, hold on to the end of that rope.
I think we all want to know that there's someone out there who will kind of be the rock or the solid one when we are thrashing about, and knowing that that they're not going to take their hands off. I think for teens, it's such a kind of comforting thing, which they may not say thank you for until
maybe a bit later, 39, 38.
Maybe at 39.
Yeah.
Hey, we know that all of us want to feel that we're good at something, and I know particularly teens need to feel like they're competent and good at something. How do we do that?
Yeah. Competency is massive. So if I think about some psychological needs our teens have, the first is connectedness, and we've covered that beautifully. Another is autonomy, so their ability to kind of make some calls for themselves, make some decisions for themselves is massive. But the third is competency. So we know that when a teenager feels like they're good at something, they feel good. And so my encouragement to all parents of teens is, what is it that lights your child up? It could be chess club. It could be hip hop. I had a hip hopper. I have a theatre kid. I had a basketballer and a musician. And my teens being involved in those spaces just helped pull them through the teen years, help them remain connected, learning how to show up, be part of a team. It just builds their safety. So, it doesn't have to look conventional. It might be something really left field and interesting, but following what they're good at and encouraging them in it.
I love it. I was trying to think of when I was at high school, what was my thing. This might surprise you. I love talking in assemblies.
No, I can't imagine that.
I was like the head of student council and house captain and things like that. But that's
debate team. No?
I tried it, but maybe I like to talk, but I don't like conflict. I don't know. But actually, there was a lot going on in my world with my parents separating and all sorts going on. And I do remember that, exactly that would light me up, and I'd feel like I was seen and I could do something and something to be recognised for. So that's such cool advice. I was also thinking, we had a guest on a while back, Catherine Burkett, who she's got a book out around the teenage brain and what's happening. So I'm going to put that in our show notes because I've bought it. I haven't started reading it yet. I've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, so I feel like I've got a little bit more time. But I think that would be a great resource if people are just wanting to have a bit more empathy and understand how the brain's working and what's going on. And maybe you feel like, oh, it's actually not just my teenage. This is actually...
Yeah, it really does help when you can put it in that place where it's a brain construction or reconstruction. And I think we can take some of the personal stuff out of that because when we see that there's something happening that is, going on in their brain, and it's not to do with our failures or mistakes or how we're parenting or where we've gone wrong.
So good.
If a parent's listening right now and is thinking, I feel like I'm losing my teen, what's one sort of ritual they can start this week or one thing to focus on?
Yeah. It's those snatched moments of connection. So our teens are busy. They're often up early, off to practice early. How can we front foot some connection? So it might be that they're really good at making their lunch, but maybe one day a week you do that for them. How can you show up for them? It might be that you pick them up instead of them catching the bus. Just the meeting them where they're at, and those just gentle ways of connection is so, so important.
Love it. Jenny and Sheridan, one last thought or anything that you like? Actually, I would have loved to have mentioned this.
No, I'm just loving that last point of Sheridan's where we're looking for a way to connect that hasn't got to do with them earning it. Sometimes they're so prickly and hard. And here you are making them a meal they love, bringing it into their room, maybe sitting on the bed, maybe not, disappearing, but reaching out to your teen who hasn't deserved it or earned it, but who desperately wants to connect. So you've sort of been the big person. I think that's really important.
Yeah, so important to stay in the lead, even though it feels like they don't want us to lead. But the other thing I would say is the power of the do-over. So I've had many moments with my teens where I haven't shown up in the best way. It might be that, you've gone into their room and then shouldn't really eat in their room, but there's that little trail of ants that have formed because there was food in there, and you might go into reaction, which is maybe what I did one day. But, I walked out of that room going, man, I just was not showing up in my best way. And so I gave it some time, let it settle, walked back in, hey, can we have a do-over? I'm wondering if it would be okay if we eat food in the lounge. And this beautiful ability to come back, reconnect, it's almost like saying they can also have moments where they lose it and it's not the end of a relationship. And so I think we get given so many opportunities in the teen years to show up and to do the redo.
So much to think about, so much good stuff. When you do coaching, because this is the coach's couch, we do coaching at Parenting Place, and a parent can sit online with you or they can come in to Green Lane here in Auckland, and they can talk about anything going on, exactly like what we've been talking about, teens and connection, and it's normally for about an hour.
Come and see us.
Yeah, bring your questions. I think this whole parenting gig is so much easier when you've got sidekicks and people that can be the calm in the storm. So do get in contact. Parentingplace.nz is where you find all of us.